Hello, hello! Welcome to the show, K.I.S.S Recovery 101. This is Bridge. How's everybody doing? I have a very special guest I'm honored to have here with me tonight. I have Jesse E. Do you want to say hi and introduce yourself?
Hello there, this is Jesse E.
You want to get real close to that mic because it's going to be hard to hear you.
All right, how's that?
Well, I'm going to open up the chat so our viewers will let us know if you sound like you're eons away. And I'm definitely excited. I hope to get lots of questions, comments, anything that we talk about tonight, because tonight we're going to talk about the recovery path of 12-step groups, and one that I'm personally very familiar with is the AA 12 Steps, Alcoholics Anonymous. And Jesse, I know you. I came to one of your workshops. I know. How many weeks is that run?
Well, you're talking about the 4-step workshop at 2218. That runs more or less, give or take, about 7 weeks.
7 weeks. Okay.
But it's not rigid.
It's not rigid.
No, it's a live participation with the audience, and then we can see where it goes.
Well, and what I loved about it is you really dig it apart, that 4-step. And one thing that when I came there, you do this with Rick, correct? And there's another person. No, just you guys are the headliners. Okay. Well, Rick wasn't there that night. It was just you. So that's why you're here today, because I liked you. And then I came on a Wednesday night after you guys, I think, were there, and I went to dinner with you two and a little group of people, and so I liked everything you had to say. So I thought, well, I think everybody else will like what you have to say, so here you are.
Well, let's see where this goes then.
Yeah, let's just go with the flow.
All right.
Although I will be honest, I don't do well with go with the flow. I gotta have some plans. So yeah, let me just fill you in. So there's 2 segments that we do each week. One is called the hot seat. And that's kindly titled because some of the questions might be hot and heavy. You might get a little heated under the collar. You might not. Some of my guests were like, that was the hot seat. That was it. And then some of my guests, Andrea was on here. She's like, ooh, I'm feeling it. I'm hot. So, and then the last segment is just Facebook memes live. And all that is I'm going to flash you some of my favorite memes that have happened within the week. Random, I don't know what happened in the moment that I screenshot them. But I'm going to flash them to you. And like Facebook Live, like Facebook, you're going to thumbs up, heart, care, give me your reaction, and then comment too.
Well, that should be great.
Yeah, that's actually started to be my favorite part of the show. I'm already getting excited about it. Okay. So would you mind just telling our listeners, let's see, there's no interactions yet, so hopefully everybody can hear us. I'm just going to double check. So still new running the show. We've had a couple of incidences live. One incident, I didn't realize we were muted for 7 minutes. So it's just dead air. And then another incident, I don't even know. It's just, I just roll with it. Trial and error. And I'm just going to do what I do. But, oh, good. We can hear you. See, there's a Facebook user. Yay.
Good.
Okay. So it's me, you, and Facebook user. Hi. Okay. So would you mind just giving. Okay. So there's a variety of people listening. There's people that are in the AA, and then there's people that might be never even heard about it. So do you want to talk about what your workshop, why would someone want to come to your workshop?
Well, let's not call it my workshop.
Okay, true.
I'm a late arriver from maybe 8 years ago. This became
8 years ago?
Something like that.
Okay.
Maybe 10. But this was one of the most key or revolutionary things in my life is the workshop. Now, Rick B's been running this workshop for 30 plus years.
Wow. Okay.
Before that, there was a step workshop.
Okay.
That had been run for many, many more years.
Was that all the steps?
That was all the steps. But what I think what happened was he had such a revolutionary or transformative experience with following the book that he wanted to share that. And really without having revolutionary or transformative experience around inventory,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the steps even make sense.
Mm-hmm.
They don't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And they certainly are difficult in trying, but when this is followed, really, the guys who wrote the book wrote from their experience.
Bill and Bob?
Yeah. But there was also another 88, they said 100, but there's
Sure.
about 88 others that were, and they were fighting. They were passionately involved in printing the first big book.
Sure.
And so they wrote down what they did.
Mm-hmm.
So I have read a lot of philosophical and spiritual books about what people think.
Okay.
And that's a different kind of a thing. But this is based on what the book laid out that the guys did to transform their minds and their lives.
Right. And I see you have one of those. So if you hear the term big book, what is that referring to, Jesse?
Well, that's a good question. I'm glad you keep on this vein because there's really no one that can't benefit.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have Al-Anon people come to the workshop.
Oh,
all the
absolutely.
time.
Yes.
And so the steps really can benefit anyone.
Mm-hmm. And there's 12 steps.
12 steps, which is a process of seeing things differently
Mm-hmm.
so that you might see life differently and then life might change for a person.
And I think it's key, too, because I'll just speak about myself. I was in a rush, and I would hear certain steps, and I'm like, ooh, I want to do that step, but I didn't do them in order. And that's kind of that was a big problem for me. The steps are meant to be done in order as they are.
Well,
And there's important pieces to that. Would you agree?
I would agree, and at the same time, a lot of people don't do that, and I think maybe everyone does. I have no idea, but you can come at this thing from maybe any angle, even if you don't have the right motives or whatever. It doesn't matter. The steps really work for anybody who can see how to use them,
Right.
or should say, see how to do them, which is probably about the same thing.
Yeah. Well, even with just step 1, the key piece, I didn't even look at the first word. We.
That's okay.
I got that big book. I started reading that book. I started doing these steps by myself. That didn't work out for me so well because I missed that first word. It says we.
Right. And so, I think one of the things that drug addiction or alcoholism then there's lots of isms.
Oh, yes. Many. It's but a symptom.
Right. Is that we don't want to be involved, or we want to isolate, or we want to get out of the problems that seem like the problems are in the world. It's a radical thought to realize that the problems are in my mind, or how I see the world.
Yeah.
And the steps are built for us to change our mind in a way that everybody benefits.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I completely agree. And so I have a couple things to throw out at you, but at any
Are we still
point.
on step 1?
Well, how about what I want to say about the first 3 steps? They're considered the surrender steps.
Well, that's fair enough to say. The part about that life becomes unmanageable. That's possible for many people to say, hey, this is not going well.
Okay.
So if I can get a hook on that, and that could be done in 1 minute.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I have an idea. So I just did this workshop, and I have Cliff Note versions of each step, and I literally have them. Well, let's see. I'm going to test my memory because I don't have the right little notebook with me. But I have it's 2 or 3 words for each step. And for the first step, I have we admitted. And when I say that in my brain, I automatically think of those other 2 words that come along with that. Powerless, and unmanageable, and to me, unmanageability. And I don't know about you, but for me, I didn't like hearing anything about me saying I'm powerless. I wanted to control. I wanted to have this delusion of control that I was in control of my life. But it took losing everything, losing all control of anything to really hit me and realize I have control of nothing. There's a higher power that has all the plans, and for me to think I could even be the director of this play of life, I struggled with that for years, and the unmanageable part, I didn't like that either, because I had a good job. I have a job, but I'm thinking about when I first started these steps where I struggled. I had a great job. I had a house. My kids had dinner every night. They did their homework, and I made sure that outside view of my life was, and this word I like to say because this is what my thinking back then was, perfect. It was a great facade on the outside. On the inside, though, was a completely different story. And,
what's it like to live in the house?
Right. So what someone said to me, this wonderful woman, she said, okay, so let's take, you don't like that word, unmanageable. Okay, well, let's say when you drink bridge, do things get unmanageable? I said, well, yes, pretty much 9 times out of 10, something didn't go the way I wanted, or the next morning I wake up and realize nothing went the way I was planning it to go. So when she pointed that out to me, yes, I could definitely admit that piece was very unmanageable. But everything else in my life made it hard for me to say that I was one of us. I was one of these people in these rooms at these meetings. When I first walked into those rooms 19 years ago, I didn't have any major consequences, like I didn't have anything on my records. I didn't have any, I didn't lose anything. I didn't do any, it was hard for me to really, I would read through this book, right? The first 164 pages, no one told me in the beginning, it's like the textbook of the program. Right. And the rest of the book is a great big book of wonderful stories, okay? So once I figured that piece out, that it wasn't so intimidating to me, never mind that, my speaker's vocal. It's just reminding me it's there. But every time we would read through the stories, I would pick out the pieces that I was different. I don't go there. That didn't happen to me. I don't think like that. I don't belong here. That was where my mind would go back then. And now, once I've crossed over and I've fully surrendered and I live and I love in these steps, I connect to every single one of these stories in many different ways. So for me, though, I think what I love about understanding the first 3 steps is being honest, open-minded, and willing. I could at least do that to get to that point where I could start to build that foundation. Because for me, steps 1, 2, and 3 is a foundation that I needed to even start to think about step 4.
Well, I agree and I don't agree.
You agree to disagree in some parts.
Well, this is from a lot of experience. It
Sure.
isn't from my opinion.
Okay.
You can move through the first 3 steps in about 2 minutes.
You can!
Very thoroughly.
Okay.
Yeah. But back to the first step, though, this idea that I don't agree with that I'm powerless over things. Now, if I drink or use a drug, I am.
Yeah.
But it's still, it's not, it isn't necessary to grind out these steps for a long time. As a matter of fact,
Yes.
we're going to jump into how it works. That's where I think the dynamite is. I like dynamite.
Okay.
I mean, literally.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of dynamite.
Blowing up things?
Well, there's things that need to be blown up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's dig into this.
So, one other thing came to mind. I'm going to make a little step to this. I've been lucky in a lot of things, and they just happened. But I had an experience that just took me back to AA, if you will. I never had success in AA, and then I had an experience.
Okay.
That part of that experience was, Jesse, go back to AA. I was by myself. There's no one talking to me other than what I'm hearing by myself.
Sure.
And I sat down with the guy, and this is just 3 days sober. I didn't even think I was going to need it. I was so happy for a couple of days. I had a spiritual experience.
Yeah.
But it was starting to go away.
Okay.
And I couldn't really put my finger on what was happening to my mind,
Mm-hmm.
that a forever happiness was going away. What in the hell is happening? But I remembered to go back to AA. And the guy sat down with me, Steve, and we went right to page 62 where the dynamite is.
Okay, page 62, dynamite.
Okay, so this changes the whole game about what even the whole thing is about. And he said, Jesse, I found about myself that selfishness, self-centeredness, that we think is the root of our troubles.
Mm.
Game over on drugs, alcohol,
Sure.
which could, etc., 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 etc.
Mm-hmm.
Game over on that. This is what we found our troubles with. This is the first 100 people,
Mm-hmm.
driven by 100 forms of fear.
Mm.
Really?
Mm.
Don't think I'm afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Self-delusion. Oh, I can tell you stories about self-delusion.
Yes.
Self-seeking. I'm trying to take from life.
Mm-hmm.
And self-pity. We step on the toes of our fellows and they retaliate. This started to catch me. Is this my? This kind of sounds like my life.
Mm-hmm.
I step on it. I just think people are jerks because I have all these great ideas and they're just jerks. They don't understand.
Yeah.
But could this be my problem? Selfishness, self-centeredness. That is, I have a focus on myself and I'm not concerned with others.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not considering. Oh yeah,
Mm.
this is describing my life.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't matter how this manifests in whatever sort of ism that you want to talk
Mm-hmm.
about.
Mm-hmm.
Is this my problem? We always step on the toes of our fellows, they retaliate. Sometimes they hurt us seemingly without provocation. But invariably we find that at some time in the past we've made decisions
Mm-hmm.
based on self,
Mm-hmm.
which later placed us in a position to be hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going along making decisions based on self. This has nothing to do with drugs and alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I need that or other isms, if you will?
Yeah.
Well, because so our troubles we think are basically of our own making. They arise out of ourselves. And the alcoholic is an extreme example. Now, to me, a drug addict or whoever is suffering from whatever, and I don't really care, is an extreme example
Mm-hmm.
of self-will run riot.
Mm-hmm.
This next line. Though he usually doesn't think so.
Definitely.
No, I never think so. I always think it's the other person.
Of course.
Yeah. An extreme example of self-will
Mm-hmm.
run riot.
Oh, yeah.
Though he usually doesn't think so. So above everything, we alcoholics must be rid of selfishness. See, this is changing the game.
Mm-hmm.
I heard this on day 3.
Yeah.
So this has never been about not drinking, not drugging,
Mhm.
not whatever. It's
Mhm.
not been about that.
Right.
From that point on, this is how it's been. This is the subject of the whole steps, all the
Mhm.
steps.
Right. I love, okay, so the isms, and I love that you pointed out just those words that you just read. You know, it's awakening to me to realize where I sit today, because for me, isms, you know, was my first addiction was food, and then it was alcohol, and then it was drugs. I also, you know, tried to get sober a few times before. It stuck this time, but it turned into sex addiction. It turned into shopping addiction. I never really got into gambling a little bit, but so it was like,
Leave a few of those for other people.
but it's just my personality. It's definitely like I say, oops, there's our first alarm. I'm an addict in the sense of I'm addicted to more of anything that makes me feel good.
Well, this is what this whole.
And when you read that, all those things applied. And once I really started to live and love in these steps, all those other isms, I didn't even have to go to meetings for those. They've just gone along with that. You know, like, I don't know how to explain it because I don't even try to. I keep it real simple, and I just follow these steps.
Well, watch what comes up just on
Yeah.
the heels of what you just said. So our troubles, we think, are basically of our own making. Now, this is different than what the world is going around screaming at each other about. So my troubles are of my own making. They rise out of ourselves, and the alcoholic is an extreme example of self-will run riot. I read this, sorry. Although he usually doesn't think so. Above everything, we alcoholics must be rid of this selfishness, the self-will. We must, or it kills us.
Yes.
So this ego or this self-will or this lunatic that's screaming in my mind about what I think is going to make me happy, this is what the subject of all the steps are. This is the subject. God makes that possible, and there's often seems no way of entirely getting rid of self. Now that might actually be really what the steps are about. Getting rid of self.
Just completely making it. So for me, every night I do a check-in. And I look at where my self-will came into place or where my higher power's will was in place.
Sure.
And, you know, if you go to step 3, they talk about thy will be done. And especially if I'm having a rough day, I like to check in. And I remember being on the road and I was just having a day, and I knew it wasn't about the traffic. I knew it wasn't about where I just came from or where I was going. I knew there was something going on. And literally in that moment, I had to just repeat over and over, thy will be done, thy will be done, thy will be done. Like I knew my self-will, my own self-pity or whatever you want to call it was taken over. That emotional mind was taken over. And just getting out of my head, out of myself, and just repeating that, I was, you know, talking to my higher power, and I felt, you know, it took a minute as I was driving, but saying it over and over and letting it go and giving it up, I was able to get to my destination. And it was like, you know, I say these things for people to do, by Swatsis to do, and when I actually do them and I get to my place of calmness, I'm like, no. It works. I do feel great. I do feel better. And I just don't go around explaining it anymore. Like I literally don't think, I'm all about action. So for the first, 17 years that I struggled, I'd had all these intentions. I had all these things I wanted to do, but for whatever reasons, not doing them, like the action. What is it? Faith without works is dead. If I didn't do the things that I wanted to do, I could overthink the crap out of anything and not do it, So, can we back up?
Yeah.
You said something, and you don't have to answer, but I'm curious. So this spiritual experience that you had, do you want to talk about it, what it was that got you? You said for 3 days you had, you felt it.
Well, yes, I can. I've blabbed about it over the years. I don't think it's the most key thing. I think that the inventory process is key.
Okay, let's talk about that.
This launched me.
Okay.
I mean, I had an experience that I was physically dying, coming off of drugs and alcohol, and I had tried several religions. I had tried what I thought. I tried AA. I tried NA. I tried these things, and I was physically coming off of several $100s worth of drugs and alcohol.
Sure.
And I rolled out of the bed, and I just wanted to. I said this. I said, I have no idea how to pray. I tried a lot of different prayers. Lots of books, lots of churches. I have to say one thing though. All the churches, and I mean all the ones you can name probably, of all the different colors of people.
Sure.
I tried this. How did I do it right? I don't even know. But I thought I tried that. The people in all these different places were very nice to me, but I couldn't get that whatever I was doing to cause me to be able to not need to drink or drug.
Sure.
And I said, I have no idea how to pray and meant it.
Yeah.
But I mean, really meant it. Have you ever told somebody something that you meant, but you just sort of really kind of meant it?
Yes.
Yeah, so have I. So have I. Lots of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about there was no gap in my mind. And then I said, I have no idea what to do. And I just disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
All the pain left my body.
Wow.
I don't know really exactly what happened. But I saw colors and I felt no pain, and it was like a giant space adventure, sort of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In colors. I was in the colors.
Okay.
I was in the lighted color, and it was amazing. And then that ended, and I slept for a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
And part of what I heard in that adventure was go back to AA. Let go of everything, hold my hand, and go back to AA. And I was clear what that meant. And when I came out of that, everything looked great. I mean, everything in my apartment that had one rug, one bed, lots of broken glass and bottles and ashes, and that's all that was left.
Yeah.
That didn't look ugly either. Nothing looked ugly. Not a thing in the whole place looked ugly. And I just thought I'd be happy forever. I don't think I really need AA. Well, that changed as I tried to figure out what in the hell I was going to do now and what's going on here, and it sort of stacked back on my mind things to do in the world, and then the happiness just went back down, and it even went down far enough that I was in pain again in my mind. I'm like, I got to go to AA, and I've been in AA ever since, and I've been sober ever since, and that's the answer to your question. But I don't think that's really the key. I've watched enough people that don't talk about that kind of experience, who have tremendous inventory experiences with this by-the-book 4-step workshop.
Yes, yes.
I watch people that don't talk about that kind of experience that have tremendous life-changing lives. So I don't think having one of those, although at one time I did, and I read a little about Bill trying to tell people about, because he had this kind of white light thing. I didn't have a white light thing.
And Josie, who's Bill?
Bill W.
Bill W.
Yes.
And who's Bill W?
One of the founders of Alcoholics.
Founders of Alcoholics Anonymous. Okay,
So-
thanks.
But it took a while for me to see that's maybe not really even that helpful or useful to blab about that. But occasionally, if somebody wants to hear about it, I'll tell them about it. But that, how wrong I was that I didn't need AA, even though I had some kind of spiritual experience that was just really wonderful.
Yeah.
That the thing that they laid out is even more wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
The process they laid out, if it's followed, I would say precisely by the book,
Mm-hmm.
that I've watched, I couldn't even count them, thousands of people that have sort of transformative experiences doing this process in the privacy of their own mind,
Mm-hmm.
not with the heavy-handedness of a sponsor.
Right, right.
And they're and they change.
Yeah.
They change in the direction of happiness and usefulness.
Yeah.
And, I've just
A little
seen
joy.
and joy, and I've seen it happen over and over and over and over and over. So I think that's really the key.
I would agree.
Okay.
Okay, a question comes to my head.
What?
How did you find yourself with Rick doing this workshop? How did that happen? How did they approach you? Or
That was just.
were you just
really an
attending?
accident. I was.
it was an accident?
I don't even know about that, but it began when I was sitting in a meeting, and I'm several years sober, and I'm like, God, I mean, and I know there's a connection, but I'm like, my head hurts. There's got to be more to this. And I saw Rick standing in the doorway. I'm like, who's that?
Mm.
What is he up to? And then I found the workshop, and Bob was great.
Yeah.
Bob used to help do the workshop for a long
I
time.
listened to a story today on your website, the AA.
On the website. You
by
mean
the-
the website AAByTheBook.org?
AAByTheBook.org, yes.
You know, I've shared that website with people in New York and Florida.
Oh, wow.
And that thing is set up so that you really can walk yourself through.
Yeah.
With or
Mhm.
without a sponsor. It's
Mhm.
substantial enough and it lays out the process clear enough,
Mhm.
just like the workshop at 2218.
Yes.
On Wednesdays at 6:30, that one.
Yep. Wednesday, 6:30, 2218.
So, I just-
Eleanor.
What?
Eleanor, sorry, I just wanted to
Yeah.
give the location so if they can come to your workshop if they want to. But yes, the website is wonderful.
Yeah, and that it can be used, I've heard that it's used in other countries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's laid out that cleanly and that clearly.
Mhm.
That someone can pick it up, do it, use it, and have, and can see things differently in their mind that might have been tormenting them for years.
So you saw Rick, and you were like, what's he up to?
What's he up to? I found that the workshop was right in, I'd already been going to 2218 for 5 years.
Okay.
Went in the workshop and I was like, this is so different.
Mhm.
They must be doing this wrong.
Okay.
Well, that's my first assumption.
Sure.
If anybody doesn't agree with me,
Right.
they must be doing
Right,
it,
right.
not me.
It's not you.
Well, and so I was very intrigued by it,
Mm-hmm.
and I could hear a lot of that. That really sounds true. One of the early things that Rick talks about is that he was living his life by theories,
Hmm.
and he wouldn't adjust the theories. He tried to make other people adjust those
Sure.
theories. I'm like, damn, that's how I've lived my life.
Hmm.
I wasn't changing my mind. I was trying to change the world.
Everyone else's.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, I've done that. I'm probably still largely doing that. But that's how that started. And and so I went for many weeks, which a lot of people do. And there's a simple process of doing inventory that I think has really been played with a lot by people
Mm-hmm.
in the fellowship. And I get it. I get it.
Sure.
And then one guy says something to another guy and says, and then this is going on. And
Mm-hmm.
it really doesn't line up with the book much.
Mm-hmm.
And Bob, who used to be in the workshop for a long, long time, he has a story that illustrates this well, and he says it like this. Now, he was a very talented musician, and at one time he was directing, I believe, the musical score for a big production at the Ordway.
Mm-hmm.
And the boss of the show, the director, they had just concluded with the ending of the rehearsals.
Okay.
So everything was just right.
Mm-hmm.
And they're smiling, and the stage, the lights, the ballet, so to
Sure.
speak.
Literally.
And then the big boss, the director, says, well, he's going out to Connecticut for 6 weeks on another production, but he'll be back.
Mm-hmm.
And Bob said to him, why do you need to come back? It's working perfect.
Mm.
He says, I'm going to come back to take out the improvements that you guys do.
What?
Remember the actor trying to be the director?
Oh. Mm-hmm.
And everybody's kind of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
They want their part to be more important.
Of
They want
course.
their part to be more
Sure.
in the limelight.
Limelight.
So to take, well, I think in AA a lot of people have tried to make improvements, and I certainly have.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started, and he used to tell this story. It's a perfect illustration. And this has happened, and it gets off of the precision that's laid out in the book.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, I at one point I was rageful again, sober, which that's happened to me
Mm-hmm.
a number of times, many numbers of times. And that's the first time I actually did inventory.
Mm. So when you say inventory, are you referring to that moral inventory that's referenced in the book?
Well, see, this is the hot seat because I
Yes!
yes and no because
Well,
this
here,
it's a big
I want to
deal.
show you something too.
It's a big deal when.
Have you seen this book?
No, just
Well, I want you to
Just-
give the gist of this, but I'm going to read a little thing that helped me see the moral inventory
I wanna
as
show
more
you
of
what the
a personal inventory.
right. Bill backs that off.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just about moving through the book in that area. Now we're skipping a bunch of step 3 ideas, and I'm just going to drop a couple of those in case we don't get them.
Okay, sure.
But as we move through this, we find that self's the problem, and there seems no way of how does one entirely get rid of self?
Mm-hmm.
This is what the steps are for. Without his aid. All right, so many of us had moral and philosophical convictions galore, but we couldn't live up to them. But I like to judge other people if they're not living.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Point that finger.
and slam them. Wishing or trying on our own power. This is the how, what, and the why of it. First, we had to quit playing God. It didn't work. And then he goes on into this. First of all, we had to quit playing God. It didn't work. Next, we decided that hereafter in this drama of life, this movie,
Mm-hmm.
God was going to be our director. He's the principal. We're his agents. He's the father. We are his children. Most good ideas are simple. This is the concept. Was the keystone of the new and triumphant arch through which we pass to freedom. We could unpack that sometime if you want to. But quit playing God is a big deal.
Absolutely.
Well, that's where any person with any sort of problem
Mm-hmm.
could consider. Is that what's causing my problems in my life?
Mm-hmm.
And from that point, there's more step 3 ideas. There's a step 3 prayer in the book. But it says this wording is optional. But it's really basically, as I see it, a reversal of the selfishness.
Mm-hmm.
So whether or not I'm a this or that or a who or what religion I do or don't have or none,
Yeah.
really wouldn't matter if I tried to reverse the selfishness.
Right.
So that's universal.
That's as simple as it could be, that focusing on that one piece.
Yeah, God help me reverse the selfishness that I've been doing in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard in the workshop, God help me be helpful.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty
To
simple.
be of service.
Right. Rather than trying to take from life, could I contribute?
Right. Absolutely. I'm going to check it. Okay, so this is a live show. So let's see what we got for comments or questions. Okay. So, let's see. Okay, so this is a question for you, it looks like. Will he explain what taking inventory means? So what's the most basic answer that you could give for what do you mean when you're talking about inventory?
Well, this is great because it's really not a moral inventory because
Right.
a lot of people are trying to see if they're bad or sinful or whatever, and this is really not where this is going.
Right.
I'm going to read a little more. So next we launch after this decision to, am I just taking from life? Could I give to life? Could I contribute to life?
You contribute, yeah.
Okay. See, it gets it real simple then.
Yes.
Anybody could do that.
Right. Just take yourself right out of it. I know in the rooms, I've had someone share that he just couldn't think clearly, period. And he asked, his whoever was kind of guiding him a little bit, like, what can I do? Like, he said, just show up here every day. You can help make coffee, you can do the chairs, you can, at that time, clean out the ashtrays. And he said he did that for many years, but just to help, as service, but really what it was doing was it was helping him get out of his head, like get out of his space. Because for me, even today, it still is a thing, but like I was my own worst enemy inside my head. The things I would tell myself, whoop, And we're already at our second alarm, Christy. Okay, we gotta move along. It says your guest needs to speak into the mic. Yeah, you're a little far away.
All right.
I knew.
Got it. How's that?
I think that's better.
Okay.
Otherwise, you can hold it too if you want. Sorry. Let's see. What does fear mean to you, Jesse? What does fear mean to
We're
you?
in the middle of the question about inventory.
Okay. Yes. Well,
We can do
let's
both.
do them both at the same time.
Well, okay. But this process in here talks about next we launched on a course of vigorous action, the first of which is a personal house cleaning.
House cleaning. Yes.
Now he backs out of this moral idea and shifts it to a very practical house cleaning type of idea. Taking the judgment off it is a very big deal. Though our decision to change our lives to giving instead of taking is vital and crucial, have little permanent effect unless at once followed by a strenuous effort to face and be rid of the things in ourselves which were blocking us.
Yes.
Resentments, fear, judgments, condemnations of others. All that stuff I'm doing at other people, I'm doing to myself. In my mind.
Right. Absolutely.
It's inescapable. Condemn someone else, I condemn myself.
Right.
Overlook somebody else's errors, I overlook the ones in me. Very different set of feelings when that's going on. But this inventory that he lays out is, so we start upon a personal inventory, a business inventory.
It's like a business inventory.
He's really lifting off this moral judgment idea. In a business, we would just see, well, is that garbage can full? Okay, let's take it out to the dumpster. If one falls on the floor, well, then let's just clean it up and get that out of here too.
Okay. And I was going to point out, so the only thing that I ever do when I look into this is why the question. So here's Stephanie Covington's A Woman's Way Through the 12 Steps, and I love it. She says it beautifully on page 63. Why make an inventory? The more we know about ourselves, our personal history, our feelings, our motivations, our behaviors, and attitudes, the less likely we are to go back to drinking or using or overspending or binging or other compulsive behaviors. Think of this step as turning on a light in a pitch dark room. If you continue to walk around in the dark, you're probably going to keep tripping over the furniture and bruising yourself. But when you turn on the light, you can see where you're going. So in the same way, the step 4 inventory sheds light onto the obstacles in your path. By taking an inventory, you'll be able to see what stands in the way of your recovery. Would you agree with that, Jesse?
I wouldn't disagree.
And I loved that because for me, it was hard why would I want to look at those awful things about myself? Sure, I can focus on moving forward and letting go, but that was what I was trying to understand in the beginning. Why do I have to do a step 4? Like, what is the point of that?
This has been maybe missold and mistaught.
Oh, yeah.
Times. That's not where this goes.
No.
This is a business kind of inventory, and there's 3 parts to it, which we are just kind of hitting on pieces of.
Oh, yes. This is that's why it's how many weeks? 6 or 8 weeks?
6 or 7, that's not really, and so we're doing some fun moves through these ideas that are not thorough.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
But the basics are, why do I have resentments or grievances in my mind? What is this fear thing? And then there's a third one, which oftentimes is talked about as sex. That's really not what's laid out in the book. It's about conduct in relationships that are sexual.
Right.
Which is a very different approach than you oftentimes hear. Okay, so there's 3 basic kinds that are laid out here. We're barely touching on the first.
Oh, absolutely.
One of the biggest ones, see, is resentments.
That's the number 1 offender.
Yes, you're right.
Is what they say.
Self-manifests in various ways. Now we're self-manifests in various ways. That was what had defeated us. We consider its common manifestations. Resentment is the number one offense. Resentment is the biggest smoke alarm that goes off when I'm being selfish. It's not the problem.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
But I can feel the problem. There's like a smoke alarm going off in my mind. It is the number one.
And if you break it down, resent means, if you look up the definition, it means to re-feel.
It does. Exactly. So there's a story connected to the feeling.
Yes.
And let me tell you the story. That's on the next page. That's how we write down the resentment story.
Yes. Okay, so to be mindful of time, I did not tell you we only have about an hour.
Okay.
So, I want to, okay, looks like, okay, the live feed, they're quiet right now, so I'm going to ask you it's the hot seat time. You ready?
Oh, sure.
We're a little past time here,
Sure.
so we're just going to run through them. And I encourage you to answer them. You do not have to answer them. Share only what you feel comfortable.
Take the fifth.
But keep in mind, the questions are meant for, think about it as maybe there's someone out there listening right now that might be asking themselves these same questions and they just need an answer, and maybe something you say they could feel a little connection with. So, question number 1, are you ready?
I have no idea.
I was going to try to get a sound effect before today, but that didn't happen. It was going to be like, does that sound hot? Hot seat. You ready? Okay, question number 1, Jesse. What is your biggest irrational fear, would you say?
Rational or irrational?
Irrational.
Well, I think all fear is irrational.
Sure. But is there one you would say when you leave your house that might be a little irrational?
Well, it's almost every day. Will the things work out today?
Things work out.
Will the things at the job work out? Will the things with this meeting I'm going to, will they work out? So there's an irrational, repetitive fear that things won't work out. And it's irrational. If I even just look back at the date, but that comes from fear.
Yes.
And I'm not trusting God.
Yes.
And
Trusting.
so that'll wash into my mind.
Yes.
And then some hours later, well, that worked out. Well, I had to change how I did that, or this went that way. But that one repeats itself. And it really is irrational. But it's when I'm trying to trust my own power instead of God's power.
Right.
To the precise extent that we permit these, right?
Yeah.
Squander the hours.
Yeah. Well, I think I picked this question because I liked it. Because, don't laugh at me, but when things are going really well, every single time, it seems like everything at that very moment is going really well. It always happens when I'm driving. I'm like, I know I'm about to get in a car accident. I'm driving. I'm like, any minute now, some semi is gonna plow right into me. I do not get to be this happy. Life does not get to be this good. And I know it's completely irrational, but it will take me a minute or two to be like, calm down. It's okay to truly be happy, Bridge. It's it's irrational. And I even saying it out loud, I realize it sounds a little cuckoo, but it's still something I process on a daily basis. I've never been at this point, 40 years old. I've never been at this point in my life where things are more good. The good outweighs challenges. I call them challenges now. I don't say bad things. I say they're challenges. How challenging me right now. But back when everything was the drama. I love how they say in that book, the drama of life. Everything was the end all say all. And so when those things went away and everything is, I feel more calm with my life, and then I get to be happy and I get to have moments of joy. It's hard for me to believe. My own worst enemy is like, you're going to get hit by a car right now. You're going to fall off the bridge. You're going to drive right off the bridge. Just hit the ice. I don't know. So that's that's an irrational fear. I just thought I'd just share that with you, Jesse.
That's great.
Question number 2.
That's great.
Question number 2, Jesse. What is something that makes you extremely uncomfortable?
Well, fear makes me uncomfortable.
Okay.
So,
Can you be more specific now? Or get a little general.
Well, there's a lunatic that's in my mind.
Okay.
That's the ego.
Okay.
And if I don't listen to it and I ask for help, I can move into about anything.
Okay.
But
Whoa, we got 10 minutes.
we got 10 minutes. We got about 10 minutes.
I'm just glad you didn't say me. After that last share. But is there something, like say you walk in, let's just pick a place. So say you walk into a meeting. Is there ever anything right away that, say it's a new meeting, that would make you uncomfortable? Say
Well, oftentimes, like one of my favorite things that we do at my home group is we draw cards for who's going to talk.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, and that keeps it real.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm thinking, I don't really want to talk. But you know what? If it's my turn to talk, then that's where the
Yeah, that's where the
if it's
card
somebody
is.
else's turn, that's where that goes.
Right.
And so oftentimes there'll be something that this needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes my mind will just, but I can change my mind now. I didn't used to be able to change my mind.
Yeah. Well, and it's in the cards. The cards are laid out. You
That's
gotta
right.
go with it. I like that. I've never heard of that.
That's great.
I have to try that out. Okay, last question. What is an assumption people make about you? What comes to mind?
What's an assumption? Well, I can come off as a good guy, but I'm really not.
There's a dark side to Jesse.
Well, that's mostly if you see that, it's really a cover.
Okay. Well, you know what it means to assume, right? With anybody that assumes anything.
Yeah,
This makes an ass out of you and me.
exactly.
But yes, I would say on the flip side as well, people assume that I'm this well put together, like happy-go-lucky person all the time. So when I used to go to my Saturday night candlelight meeting where they turn the lights off, stressed out, overwhelmed, maybe very angry Bridge comes out. People who know me, sometimes they're off-put in that meeting because, it's hard sometimes to always, and I don't try to, but, when I feel like I'm leading or guiding or being of service, I don't want to share that negative shit. But when I go to that meeting, that's my free-for-all. I share all the negative shit, and sometimes it's a bit scary for people. So.
Could be.
Okay, enough of that. I did have a clip I was going to play, and you know what? We got 8 minutes. We're gonna play this 2-minute clip, and it's I found it moving because it talks about why service, and it's not even about recovery or anyone with addictions or isms or anything. It's just about why people in life, in general,
self-delusion and selfishness
should be of service. Yeah.
Anybody could recover from that.
Well, and it's Oprah. You know who Oprah is?
I've heard of it.
I still love her, and found her. She gives motivational speeches for college students, I believe.
Bluetooth connected.
Okay,
I don't think you warned me about this one.
you get some. This is gonna be good. I promise. I previewed it, and it's ready to go. So it's Oprah Winfrey. The video is on the Motivation Arc YouTube channel. And it says, watch this every day, is the title, Motivational Speech by Oprah Winfrey. And this is just a small piece of it. It's 10 minutes, but I'm just going to play the 2 minutes that she talks about service. This moved me to tears when I originally heard it, but I've replayed it at least 20 times so I don't get emotional. It's okay, Jesse, you won't see me cry either. But we have to be quiet because our mics will still be on while we play this clip. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Everybody has a different talent. And the reason we're all so messed up is because you're looking at everybody else's talent and wishing you had some of their talent. All the energy that you spend thinking about, wishing about, being jealous of, envious of anybody else is energy that you're not only putting out is going to come back to you negatively, but you're taking that away from you. All your energy should be forced on what do I have to offer? What do I have to give? How can I be used in service? Because Dr. King's message of not everybody can be famous, but everybody can be great, because greatness is determined by service. And there is not a job in here that you can do that you don't switch the paradigm to service and not make that job more fulfilling. I don't care what the job is. If you say, I'm a singer, I'm a dancer, I'm an artist, I'm a teacher, I'm a nurse, I'm a doctor, I'm a janitor, I'm a clerk, if you say, if I look at this from how do I use this in service to something bigger than myself, it no longer becomes a job. It becomes an offering to the world. The first law is the third law of motion in physics, which says, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And we showed that very beautifully in The Color Purple, when Miss Seeley says to Mr., everything you even try to do to me is already done to you. That is not just a rhetorical saying, that is law. That is Newton's third law of motion in physics, which says everything that goes out is coming back. It's just like everything that goes up is coming down. May take it a long time to come down, is coming down. Everything that goes out is coming back, it's coming back. So, to answer the power of manifestation and meditation, what meditation does is sync you up with the source. What meditation does is allows you to literally tap into the power that created you, so that you are in alignment with that. And so when you carry that out into the world, everything that you do comes from the center of that alignment that's coming from the source that we call God, we call divine energy, divine intelligence, whatever name you want to give it to, we call life. When you are synced up with life, life just gives to you.
Oh, I love that. This gives me goosebumps. What do you think about that clip, Jesse?
What I think is that it's amazing that I am not her biggest fan. But everything she had to say, I agree with.
Yeah.
I agree with that. See, I couldn't used to do that.
Right.
I'd throw the baby out with the bathwater. But I think that was on the money.
Right.
It was on the money. And that's
Do you
why
meditate?
I meditate in a form called Transcendental Meditation
Okay.
twice a day.
I've never heard of that.
Well, it's a very different than other forms.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go to learn how to do it. But
Okay.
it's extraordinarily simple.
Yeah.
After the show, I give you a little video,
Okay.
and it'll show
Yeah.
you can see an explanation of it much better than I can explain.
Okay, and meditation, prayer and meditation, it is, I feel like the key thing is what works and connects for you. There's all kinds of different ways, and, coming in these rooms, I had different things people wanted me to do and told me to do, and it wasn't until I found something that worked for me. Like for me, meditation can be as simple as pulling out one of my meditation books and reading that day's message and taking some peace from that. But being focused and having that intent and that purpose for that day, for me, can be meditation. Now, I try to do some of the guided meditations that are on the apps and all this and that,
I've tried those too. I don't know if they're the same ones. I've tried such things, and there's lots of things out there.
Right. But it really just comes down to where it touches you or feels, where I feel it in my soul that works for me, So, okay, last piece. My favorite piece. I hope you laugh. Please, I hope, just be honest. I found most of okay, and they're not all going to be funny, okay? Some of them I thought I had an aha moment. So, let me just make sure.
What do you call an alcoholic without a girlfriend?
What?
Homeless.
Oh my goodness. This be true, this be vex. Oh my gosh, that's a good one. Okay, you ready? So we won't do too many. Let me go in, and I have them all primed and ready. Okay, so would you mind reading that and then describing the picture? You gotta read it out loud.
Memes. Yeah, boy.
Let I'll read it. Okay, I'll read it, and then I'm gonna read these to you,
What?
and you give me
What?
your reaction. Okay, whether it's thumbs up, laugh out loud, and then a comment.
Go ahead.
Okay, so it says, everyone. So everyone says this, and it's in quotes. Are you gonna continue to post stupid memes? Question mark. Me. And there's a picture of a buoy. The lake. And it says, yeah, boy. This is a direct hit at myself. Can you see my face turning red? I'm embarrassed, but yes, I do like the stupid memes. They make me happy. Jesse, they make me happy. I'm single. Okay, read this one.
Oh my God! When you're cooking and the recipe says chill in the fridge, and so a guy is sitting in the fridge.
Got chilling in the fridge.
Ridiculous.
That's what the direction
These are
says.
ridiculous.
Okay. This one I think you might be able to relate to. It's just words.
Being an adult is having the we have.
The listeners can't hear you. You gotta read it to
Being
them.
an adult is having the we have food at home talk with yourself.
Yes. Do you ever do that? So it says, being an adult is having the, in quotes, we have food at home talk with yourself.
Oh, we have food at home, not.
Do you do that ever with yourself?
No.
Oh my goodness.
I go out or eat at home or whichever one, but I get it.
I want to eat out all the time.
When you read it, I can understand what the humor is.
Okay.
So.
That's probably because I'm just way finding it too funny. Okay, this one's cute. So there's 3 clips, and each clip has, you have to read it. So it's a dog looking at a cute kid, and the first thing says, did you know 1 out of every 3 people are ugly? Did you know 1 out of every 3? Have you seen this one?
No.
Out of 3 people are ugly. Then the second picture is the dog and the baby, and it says, it's not me, said the baby, and the dog's like, me neither. And the third picture is, they're just looking at you. And me! They were looking at me. I was like, what the? Oh, it got me. That's funny. That's a funny one. Okay, this one kind of actually relates to what we just talked about. So I love SpongeBob. Do you know who SpongeBob is?
Oh my God, SpongeBob.
SpongeBob's my jam. Read what it says.
Let's see. Everything is stranger well for more than 2 days.
Look at his face. Okay, so it's
Nervous, just like you were talking
yes.
about earlier.
So it says, when everything in my life is going strangely well for more than 2 days, and his SpongeBob looking real suspicious, looking around suspicious.
Uh-oh.
What's gonna happen?
It's gonna drop now.
2 days.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna play out more. I did not put any like inspirational ones. Okay, maybe you can reflect. Maybe you'll find humor in this one.
I told you I'd almost.
You want me to read- you want me to read it?
Replacing your what?
It said, do you know replacing potato chips with grapefruit as a snack, you can lose up to 90% of what little joy you still have left in your life. There's a lot of people on diets right now. I don't know. I am trying to be more healthy, but like, I love my potato chips. But someone's like, oh, I eat half a grapefruit. I just put a lot of sugar or salt in them. I'm like, ew, what's the point? Ew, grapefruits are nasty anyway.
Put them in chip.
And yes, let's just have some chips. The healthier baked chips. Okay. So this was just a little stick person. It says, I found out why I'm still single. Apparently you have to go outside and let people see you.
You do.
I'm a bit of a hermit, Jesse.
Don't forget that.
And my like go out fun time is going to meetings, Jesse, and working. But I did go to bingo here last night.
Mm-hmm.
And that was fun. I won $20. And I actually had fun with no second agenda of service or helping out sponsor or doing anything else. It was
Yeah, I
literally
think we
just
can go
fun.
overboard on that, trying to be service
Yes!
and miss just playing around.
Yes, and I need to do that, and I just needed to do that. It was nice. And I won $20. I think I was just more happy about that. Woo! Have to take a gas. Okay. Okay, I'm going to find an aha one because I failed on
What's an aha one even mean?
like a meaningful. Do you have like a meaningful quote or a meaningful a saying that comes to mind that you're just like, Like you have an aha feeling from it? Off the top of your head, huh? You don't got none of that?
Don't take yourself so seriously. There's a good one.
That's a good one. Okay, this one might, I don't know. I don't remember this one, but I'm going to read it out loud. It says, if someone communicates their boundaries, that is them trying to keep you in their life, not push you away.
Oh, that's kind of serious.
Yeah. Ooh, I don't know why I picked that one. If someone
Some of
communicates their
it could be
boundaries,
true. I don't know.
that is them trying to
That's-
keep you
a lot
in their
of
life,
these things,
not push you
It
in
just
their
depends
way.
on where you want to take them.
Yeah, what do you, well, for me, when I read that now, again, out loud, when I had to set boundaries, it was because I love and cared for this person, and I wanted them to succeed, and I wanted them to be, eventually in my life, but because of the situation and the previous boundaries we tried to set, it wouldn't work. And so I had to go to Al-Anon meetings to learn that these boundaries I had to set for myself to make myself healthy. And yeah, at the end of the day, like, that was the intention, and I wish I would have set those boundaries sooner, because, like, he flew the coop and did his own thing, and that was it. But I remember specifically saying, we need to heal. You need to go heal on your path. I need to heal on my path. And at the end of the day, maybe we can come together, after we focus on loving ourselves and make this work. And a week later, he moved into someone else, moved in with someone else. And here I sit. I don't know. Let's see. That was back in the summertime, like May.
Well, things don't have to last as long.
That was like 6 months ago.
Maybe
I've-
there's just something better coming.
Yeah. I'm dating myself, Jesse, and I'm enjoying it. I've gone out to dinner with myself. I was going to go see the Ghostbusters by myself. I just didn't get enough time. But, like, I'm really just getting to know myself, because I will have 2 years of true, honest sobriety when I made that choice myself. Was a big piece. A week from tomorrow.
Wow.
Holy yes, it was right before Christmas. So yeah, 2 years, and so, like, this is the first time since I had that first drink at 21 years old. I didn't know who I was, and I got lost in oblivion. And so this last especially year, I've just felt so good. Just focusing on doing the next right thing. I mean, literally, that's what I do day by day. I literally take it 24 hours a day. I was at bingo last night. They're like, "Oh, what are you doing tomorrow?" I'm like, I don't know. You want me to bust my plan? I'm here to have fun. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. I don't even remember right now, because I just try to keep my mind real simple as much as possible.
Everything's fine in the present.
Yes,
It's just
in
great.
the present.
In the present, it's always great.
Yes, it's when we go and try to think about the future or try to think about the past that causes strife.
Right.
Oh, that makes me think of a good quote. Oh, it's 9:07. We're going to close it up. But one of my favorite quotes about the past is,
It's not here.
and this is what worked.
The
Yes,
past
it's
is
not here.
That's why resentments are so hard on us, because it's going to
Yes.
get us thinking about shit that's gone
Mm-hmm.
over and over and over.
Premeditated expectations.
Sure.
Those would be
Yeah.
resentments. But the quote is, don't live in the past, or the past won't let you live.
I think that's true.
That struck me, because I was living in the past.
We're gone. If we're in the future of the past, we're gone. If
Mm-hmm.
we're in the future, we're anxious. In the past, we're usually depressed or pissed off. But
Yes.
right here, it's working fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've had a great time. I'm sorry, but I see some fear in your face sometimes when I was talking, Jesse. So I hope it's good fear. You push through it, and this is a great moment for me.
Yeah, it was good.
Thank you so much for coming
Thanks
on.
for having
I
me.
truly appreciate it.
Yeah, this was fun.
And thank you to the listeners. I appreciate you guys, of course. And I hope everybody has a great night and a great week. And I'll check in with you next week. All right, let's end this broadcast. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
And